the intelligence, the time, and the wherewithal to be a very, very strong advocate for us here in the 5th District. Thank you.
We flipped a coin too, and I lost. But anyway, losing is not always bad. Losing sometimes can be a positive. And I recall many, many years ago when I was a youngster growing up, I was always trying to be first. And sometimes you can't be first. You have to be second. And that's the way it goes. And it's the same thing here. Tyler is a very young man. He's putting himself in the service of you. He's young, absolutely young, good looking, debonair. But however, what you want to do is you want to vote for experience. You want to vote for a person that has the background, that knows legislation, that's been there. A person that worked for Governor Campbell, a person that worked for aviation, a person that just won a victory, helping a House of Representative person win a case that everybody thought was impossible to win, but who won it? Reed Boyd, through his skills. He doesn't take this lightly. When Reed Boyd takes on a project, he studies it thoroughly. And you'll see tonight that Reed Boyd will give you the answer that you want to hear to solve the problem of potholes, to solve the problem of senior citizens, to solve the problems of veterans, to try to go out there and bring in some industry, to do a better job for transportation. The man that you want to consider on Tuesday is a man with experience, knowledge, trustworthy, and most importantly, a person with dedication for you. He'll serve you. Thank you very much.
So we're going to allow each one of the candidates to do 2.5-minute opening comments since they took the one you let Tyler. I'll let Tyler go first.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. The South Strand Republican Club. Would we get up every question?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, 2.5 minutes. I can say. Yeah, you can come up here. I'm sorry.
I appreciate the South Strand Republican Club for putting this on this evening. John Bond Sr., Listen Wells for organizing it. I really appreciate my good friend Chuck Otwell for that great introduction. Early on in my life, my grandfather taught me a very good life lesson. He says, never get upset when you go on a fishing trip with a man that's in the business of fishing, because he probably will catch more fish than you do. Tonight, I'm in a contest of talking with a man that's in the business of talking. I just hope I can keep up. When it comes to public service, I think most people have gotten used to the emphasis being put on the word public and not the word service. Service is the reason for me running and the way I hope to define my time spent in office. I've been brought up to believe that who much is given, much is expected. And as Americans, South Carolinians, and members of this community, we are all truly blessed. We should all find a way to give back. At this point in my life, I had the time, the energy, and perspective to best serve my community on Horry County Council. I think one of the biggest misconceptions in politics today is assuming all the best ideas come from elected officials. I know that they come from the people. I believe that the answers and solutions for Horry County's best possible future are within our reach, but they're not going to be found in a drawer or in a table in the Horry County Council chambers. They're going to be found by listening to the input and ideas of each and everybody in this room, the District 5 residents, and the Horry County citizens. I'm Tyler Servant. I have the time and the energy to serve you. I will pick up your phone call, and I just need your help on June 24th, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Trust me, Tyler, you're doing fine. You're going to do more than keep up. Those public speaking lessons are paying off. I want to thank y'all for coming out, and I do thank the South Strand Republican Club for, again, hosting us. It's a privilege to be standing here. It's a privilege to be here with Mr. Servant. It's been an interesting experience. We got into this race because we were encouraged to run. And again, too, I see this as service. We're doing this because my wife and I prayed about it, and we were prepared to give back. And we feel like we're the right candidate for the job. And we've asked for your support. We've gotten a lot of that support. We appreciate that very much. It's been, as I said, a very interesting time. We said at the beginning of this race that we were going to run an honorable campaign. We weren't going to say anything that wasn't true. We weren't going to do anything in this campaign that we couldn't talk about in Sunday school. And we've done that. I can tell you the people that have worked for me, the people that worked with me on this campaign, and I'm forever indebted to them for their help and their support. A lot of them are in this room tonight. We've done that. And so whatever the outcome comes, we said from the beginning that we were going to trust you, the voters, with the outcome. And we do. Whatever the outcome on Tuesday, we're praying for the result that we want, but whatever the outcome, we trust you, the voters, to make the right decision. Just a couple of things real quickly. You've heard a lot of talk over the course of this campaign about issues. We've all said a lot of the same things, by the way. We all want the cell road. We all want more jobs. We all want public safety to be a priority. These things do not distinguish the candidate. I would submit to you that there are distinguishing characteristics. I like Tyler. My wife and I have had the privilege of getting to know him through this campaign. We like him. As I said to you, it's a privilege to stand here with Mr. Servant and speak to you tonight. Once there was 4, now there are 2. It's an honor to be here. But having said that, the distinguishing characteristics between the two candidates who remain for your consideration is experience. I think Tyler's a very nice young man, but he is that. He's a young man. I have had 20 years of experience in business, in law, in politics. I've run my own business. I've worked for large corporations. I have worked for politicians. I had the privilege of working for Governor Campbell. So I would submit to you that when you compare the background of the 2 candidates, and by the way, thank you, John. I neglected to thank you, but thank you for that rousing introduction. Speaking of public speaking, maybe it's John Bond Sr. who should be on the ticket, representing you as the residents of District 5. But I have the experience and the background to be able to be effective on your behalf. And remember, this is service. This is about who is going to represent you well, who's going to represent you effectively on county council going forward. Not in 6 months, not in a year, not in 2 years, but on day 1. Because this is a tough arena that we compete in. And you're not just debating one person. You're debating 11 people. And you're debating on behalf of the citizens that you serve. And with all due respect to Tyler, he's demonstrated a reluctance to debate on this campaign. I'm very thankful that he is here this evening. It gives you guys the opportunity to see us respond to your questions. But this is the 3rd or either the 4th debate that's been held here, and this is Tyler's first appearance here. But I do agree with what we both said tonight. This is an opportunity for public service, and I feel like when you compare the candidates, you'll see that we're the candidates, we're the campaign best suited to serve you on day 1, right out of the gate. And I appreciate your consideration and your support. Thank you so much.
Before we get started, let me just say that this is only the 2nd time I've moderated a campaign forum, so I might be more nervous than the candidates are. And I'm also going to try to get out of this room with as many friends as I came into it with. So you may see you may hear the question reworded a little bit or what have to make sure that it kind of applies to both candidates. I'm going to kind of, I guess, follow the same kind of format we did the last time, which will be just, since Tyler started off, I'll direct this first one to Reese, and I'll ask the questions that both of you will get a chance to answer. And I think they've given you, what, about a minute, 2 minutes to answer?
John, what much time we have to respond? We don't really have time. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
You won't give up.
Okay.
John. Thank you.
So, so everybody, here we go with the first one, and it is, if you're elected, will you be planning to attend the regular meetings of the Greater Burgess Community Civic Association and the South Strand Club? And what are the pressing needs to the communities that make up the Burgess community, and how did you determine?
Yes, sir.
Test. Thank you, Randall. That's a good question. And I think one of the things that you have to do in order to represent the community effectively is to be in touch with the community. I've had the opportunity to walk many neighborhoods and shake many hands. I think we've shaken multiple thousands of hands on the campaign trail. We've made a lot of great friends along the way, and you do have to stay in touch. I've had many conversations with Al Jordan throughout this process, and I look forward, if I am privileged with the opportunity to serve you, to stay in touch with the community leaders in Burgess, in Surfside, in Garden City, in Murrells Inlet, to hopefully be effective in representing you. And there are many issues throughout Burgess and beyond, throughout the 5th District, that need to be addressed. And yes, being accessible, being in the community is important, and we will do that. Ever since we began this campaign, I've handed out about 3,000 of these cards, among other things. Each one of those cards has my cell phone number on it, and everyone who's gotten that card knows that I'm only a cell phone call away. Nobody has called me at that number since this campaign began who hasn't gotten either an answer or a return phone call in just a few hours. And when I'm elected, that will not change. Thank you.
Has another 30 seconds if you want.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had 30 more seconds, or?
You have 30 seconds left.
Oh,
If you
well,
want to give it up, it's
I
okay.
will honorably concede the balance of my time to my opponent.
Do you mind just repeating part of the question?
Yeah, it was, do you plan to attend the Greater Burgess Community Association and the South Strand Republican Clubs regularly if you're elected? And what are the pressing needs of the community that make up the Burgess community?
Sure. Early on in my campaign, I've attended the meetings. I came to the cleanups with Mr. Al Jordan that he's so well organized, and picked up trash all day up and down Homestown Road. When it comes to the issues, and I will be attending the meetings, and I have been in contact with Mr. Al Jordan and Mr. Jordan Butler. I will attend these meetings. Also, the pressing issues you find by listening to the people, by going to their house, answering their phone calls, by attending the meetings, by being available to the people. Right now in my life, I have the time to dedicate to it. I work for my small family business, Surfside Realty Company in Surfside Beach. It allows me to carve out time throughout the day to dedicate to you, each and every one of you. And that's what I'm going to do. I will answer your phone calls in a timely manner and listen to y'all's problems, because that's how we're going to know the issues. Thank you.
Knowing that being a county councilman is a part-time job, if you are a councilman, how much time could you dedicate every day outside of attending the council meetings to the job?
Once again, I work for my family's business, and I can carve out as much time as needed. If it takes 60 to 70 hours a week to meet the needs of District 5, I can dedicate that to District 5. I've already planned to have meetings, if I'm so fortunate to be elected, to talk to the people, to answer their phone calls. So I have no time limit. I can dedicate as much time as necessary to serve the needs of the people of District 5 in Horry County.
Randall, it's an interesting question. One thing we have learned, and I keep hearing again and again the time that's available. We didn't have, one thing I learned, and I knew this already, but I was reminded of this on the campaign trail. The great luxury in life, think about this, the great luxury in life is time. The one thing you cannot manufacture one iota of, in addition to that which the good Lord gives you, is time. He gives you 24 hours today to do with as you will, as you see fit. And you don't get 24 and a half, you don't get 25, and you don't get 48. My wife often suggests that I need 48. But you don't get an ounce more than 24 hours. And so the great benefit, I would say advantage, that some of the candidates have had in this race is, yes, some of them have jobs that allow them to work on their schedule, as you just heard described. Some of the candidates in the campaign were retired, could campaign around the clock, effectively. I am a little different. I have a job, I have a mortgage, I have a family that I have to support, and yes, I have a law practice. But one thing that we've learned in this particular campaign is that you make time for those things that are important to you. And as I said to you, I challenge you to find a reporter, a television newscaster, a constituent, anybody, quite frankly, who called me at the outset at any point in this campaign and did not either get me on the phone or promptly receive a call back. So I'll take the same attitude to serving you on county council that I've taken to this campaign. Nope. And I'll get the job done. Thank you. My apologies to the chair. I'm just using the balance of my prior times.
All right. Reese, I guess, what ways do you plan to save the county money in their county budget? Specific ideas that you have.
Randall, I think there are numerous ways that we can potentially save money. I think the main thing that we can realistically do, there were some fairly over-the-top suggestions tossed around on the campaign trail at the debates about money that could be saved. I'm not going to be unrealistic in the amount of savings that I tell you I can generate on day one. What I will tell you that can be done and will be done if I'm your councilman is every spending proposal that comes before me will be evaluated critically, and it will be evaluated for the standard that we have shared with the voters when we've walked the trail and knocked on 2,000 or 3,000 doors, which is we're going to make sure the county spends your money as carefully as you would, because that's whose money the county is spending. They're not spending their money, they're spending your money. They've taken the money through the taxation power that the county has, and it's not theirs, it's yours, and they should spend it just as carefully as you would spend it. And I can assure you, when I look at every appropriation, every proposal, that will be the attitude that I take. And there were specific spending examples that brought me to the campaign trail. I've talked about those on the trail. The WestJet transaction, I can perhaps talk about a little bit more if I have time. But yes, there have been instances where the county has not spent your money carefully. And I'll make sure that we work hard to be as careful as we can with your money. Thank you.
What ways do you plan to save the county money, or that you're going to advocate to save the county money in their budget?
I think the key is, as a Republican and a physical conservative, we have to look at budgeting with the taxpayer's point of view. For each dollar we spend, we get the most out of that dollar. And I don't think Horry County is doing that right now. I reject the theory that we have to raise revenue or cut services. I just don't agree with it. I do not believe Horry County is working. I believe Horry County is working with waste right now. When we get over there, we can carve out that and make sure we are looking at each and every dollar we spend and getting as much money as we can out of that.
I just want to start with Tyler. All the candidates say that they want the SEL project, Southern Evacuation Lifeline project, to take place, but yet it's not being built. Why is it so delayed, and what do you think is the biggest threat to getting it built?
I think the biggest threat to getting it built is the environmental groups and the lawyers they have. They have costed us $20 million in the projects we have had by extorting money out of the government. We just broke ground on SC 31. Glens Bay Road is yet to be widened. They're about to start that. And they're just about to start 707 widening with the clearing. We should be cutting ribbons on those roads. And we're just starting those roads. It is because the environmental groups are holding up the processes and costing our taxpayers dollars. And for the cell project, we need to make sure we get the $4.5 million for the environmental impact statement, like Mr. Nelson Hardwick is fighting diligently for, and that my former boss, Senator Clary, is fighting for at the State House. We get that money, we can get the permit, and it's going to be a fight with the environmental groups.
Good question, Randall. Of course, as we said, everybody wants to sell. I'm not aware of any environmental challenges to the Glens Bay widening. That is pretty much a done deal. It's just a question of getting it constructed. It is a done deal, but obviously in terms of the cell, there was a huge environmental challenge mounted to the project. And you can understand why you have that. That's become a fact of life, unfortunately, with most major infrastructure projects. And I would love to turn back the clock to a time when things were a lot more simple. You know, the Hoover Dam was constructed in its entirety in the length of time it took to do an environmental study for the visitor center for Hoover Dam that they recently added a few years back. And we'd all love to turn the clock back to a simpler time when we just did things and got them done. You know, the Allies defeated the Axis in less time than it's going to take us to build a cell. But having said that, you know, we can't turn back the clock. We live in a complicated world. And so the best that we can do is work within the system that we have, which we will, we'll get the environmental study done. Nelson and his able compatriots on the legislative delegation, we're going to get that funding. We're going to get the study done. And then, I mean, that's going to happen. There's no magic there. I'm very confident. I've talked to Nelson, and I'm very confident that that's going to happen. The question will become, how do we pay for the infrastructure? You're looking, I mean, the most recent data on the project is now out of date. And so you're looking, quite frankly, I mean, don't be misled. It's going to be ultimately $1 billion project before it's done. At least 850 or 900 million. And so paying for it is going to be a challenge when you consider that RIDE 2 generated $425 million. And by the way, we're still paying off the RIDE debt service is accumulating. We're still paying off the original RIDE. Now, we have dedicated income streams, but the old saying that there is no free lunch applies. And my thing is, we've got to find fiscally prudent ways to build the infrastructure that we need. Thank you. But we will get it done.
This will be for recently.
Doesn't John know that we just can't?
I'm only glad I talked.
That's why I picked you to do the timekeeper.
Yeah.
But we'll start with you, Rick, or go with you, Reese. If you had to pick one thing that you could make the RIDE 3 initiative move successfully, what would it be?
Well, again, this is a trick question. Everybody in District 5 wants the cell project, so of course I'm going to tell you that I wish we could take RIDE 3 and build cell, but we can't. The last RIDE revenue from the last segment was $425 million. I just told you it's probably going to be $1 billion project before we're done. But what we need to do realistically, and we will do this, quite frankly, is figure out ways to get facets of the project accomplished, possibly using other revenue sources, possibly looking at toll roads, looking at other inventive, out-of-the-box thinking that will help us raise the money that we need. And that's going to be a real challenge. But obviously, I think cell is a priority for 90% of the people in District 5, and we want to make that happen as quickly as possible.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the question was about how to make it run more efficiently, not which project.
If you had to pick one thing that could make the RIDE 3 initiative more successful, what would it be?
I believe, if you look back at the RIDE 2 program, the way it was set up, that the projects were aligned. It was like a relay race. Before you could get to the second project, the baton had to be passed. So you had to complete the first project before you could get to the second project. By doing that, environmental groups were able to come in and throw a monkey wrench in between 1 and 2, causing the baton to drop. And so the projects 2 through 10 couldn't get completed. We have to separate these projects out individually on their own standing so we can complete them individually one at a time. Because before, if one project was going on, the second one couldn't get started until it was completed.
By separating them out, we will be able to complete these projects more efficiently and more in a timely manner.
This will be for Mr. Servant. Horry County will continue to grow, or for both of you, but starting with Mr. Servant. Horry County will continue to grow at a faster rate than other SC locations. How do you plan to approach the infrastructure and jobs needed to support that growth?
I think there's a lot of needs for the growth of Horry County. I think one of the biggest growing needs is seniors. Merle's Inlet is 3 times the national average of seniors in the national average. We got to work on traffic control and building these roads and expanding these roads. You look at the traffic and we always think we're trying to get the tourists here quicker and out quicker. But the problem is when there's traffic on Glens Bay Road and there's traffic on 707 and a senior or anybody for that matter is having a heart attack or some kind of medical problem, we've got to get to them. And those ambulances are stuck in traffic. And to be able to build these roads, we're going to have to use the RIDE program. And we're going to have to share the burden with the tourists and put more of that burden on the tourists because they use the roads so much.
Brenda, could you repeat the question?
Horry County will continue to grow at a faster rate than other SC locations. How do you plan to approach the infrastructure and the jobs needed to support that growth?
Well, 2 questions, infrastructure and jobs. And first, let me also, I'm not aware of any requirement that was set forth in the RIDE program per se that the projects had to be addressed sequentially. I think we're looking at the realistic demands being placed on our available county resources and demands being placed on available infrastructure in terms of planning, engineering, etc. But having said that, switching to the question at hand, 2 very different questions, jobs and infrastructure. One of the things that I would like to make a priority as your councilman is to make sure not just that we build these projects, but that we maintain them. As I'm sure you guys have noticed, not only do we need improvements in the infrastructure, but we need to maintain the roads that we have. Various roads throughout District 5 do an awful number on your suspension because of the number of potholes that you have to cross every day. That will be a priority to me, not just making sure that we get the infrastructure improvements that we need, but that we maintain the roads that we have. I think that's a critical need for District 5 that impacts each and every one of us. On the job front, I have experience going back in economic development. Way back to my first job out of law school, I had the privilege of working for Carol Campbell and worked on various economic development efforts. I know the benefits that economic development can bring. We're still reaping the benefits as a state of some of those projects, even today, BMW, etc. And so that will be a priority. I'll be very aggressive in doing whatever I can do as your councilman to meet with CEOs, to meet with corporate headhunters, whatever we can do, site selectors, to assist in advancing District 5 as a viable location for economic growth, because that's extremely important. We want our kids, I want my children to grow up and have job opportunities, hopefully, right here in the district. And not just jobs, but career opportunities. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you want to answer?
I do. I didn't realize the job was on the tail end of that one. We are facing a job problem in Horry County right now. As just graduating from the University of South Carolina not too long ago, my friends have faced these issues. They've wanted to move back home here and be with their families. But instead, they've had to move to Atlanta, Charlotte, Greenville, Columbia, Washington, D.C. to find these good quality jobs to raise a family on. Right now, the Horry County workforce consists of 110,000 working people. Over half of them are making $10 or less in service-oriented jobs. We've got to, the roads and infrastructure and bringing industry come hand in hand. If we build the roads, the quality jobs will come, and our talent pool, which are our kids, will stay here. They will have that job to come back to. Because we have great schools, we have great facilities. We have these great schools, and we need to make sure we're bringing great jobs here so kids can come back here and see that as a viable option.
I think I may have, did I? Did you already answer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's my fault.
I believe you have a 30-second response.
So if you want to add to that,
I'll take my second bite when I address both of the issues.
okay. Well, I apologize. That was my fault. I was here Trying to keep these, I've learned to respect Mark Meredith and Tim McGinnis a whole lot more having done this now. But, I will, well, you're next. Okay.
Did you say something?
All right, how do you plan to balance the growing needs of our retirees with our very large tourism industry needs?
Well, one of the things that, again, is important, and it will be a priority for my service as a councilman, is to be in the community. Not just accessible, but to be in the community, meeting with our retirees. I've met a great many retirees on the campaign trail. And we've got a lot of people that we call friends now that we hadn't met before this campaign. So I will stay in touch with them, keeping in touch with the various communities where many of our retirees live. We got some outstanding retirement communities in the district, and that's an important part of our demographic. We have a very demographic that is weighted toward retirees. The biggest chunk of our demographic is, in fact, people who are over the age of 50. So one of the things that we've learned about this is we've met a lot of wonderful people who are retired, and we're going to keep in touch with the community and keep in touch with what their needs are. Obviously, we have a lot of tourism. That's the economic engine at the moment that drives our economy for the most part. But we always want to seek to diversify that, and we always want to seek to stay in touch as your leaders with the constituents who make up the community. And obviously here in District 5, a huge piece of that is the retiree community. And so we'll stay in touch, and we'll have community meetings. We'll have, we've enjoyed the meet and greets that we've had in the various neighborhoods. We'll keep having those. We'll have constituent meetings in the retirement communities, and we'll stay in touch. And where needs arise, and there will be issues that arise, and there are issues that need to be sorted out now. We'll keep those at the fore, and we'll work with you, and we'll keep that a priority. Thank you.
How would you balance the growing needs of our retirees with our very large tourism industry needs?
The tourism needs and the retirees' needs go hand in hand. To attract good tourists here and to attract retirees here is the same thing. They really look at three things: roads and infrastructure, getting in and out, and getting around town. The tourists can get here, and the retirees can get in and around town, and the ambulances and safety staff can get to them. Number two, crime rates. We got to keep crime down. As you see in this Memorial Weekend and in these weeks where crime gets out of control, we got to make sure that crime is handled. Also for residents that live here, crime's a problem. People do not want to live in an area where crime rates are high. And the third thing is beaches and the entertainment we have here. If we have the entertainment, the tourists will want to come. If we have the entertainment, the South Strand Rec Center, these good associations, they will want to come, and the retirees want to be here. We got to look at those three things. For both of them.
And this next question will start with Mr. Sermon. There has been a high number of women abducted, raped, murdered in Horry County in recent weeks in the news. How do you plan to raise awareness and a plan to combat that?
It goes right back to crime that I was talking about a minute ago, for my number 2 point. We've got to be giving the safety officials all that they need to be able to combat these things. As you saw a couple of weeks ago, crime got out of hand. There was 29 rapes in Myrtle Beach, 1,200 EMS calls, 3 people murdered. We got to make sure that we are giving the first responders everything that they need, money, personnel, to respond and take care of these issues. And if we do that, then I believe that these numbers will fall.
I would agree that it is a priority issue. Public safety is not negotiable. One of the things that government must do